It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
Back again for another Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Talk Wednesday. Terry TB Brown is back. Been on the disabled list for a little bit, but glad to see you back, man.
I'm looking like Barry Bonds because I got all this stuff on my right arm here. Yeah, bursitis. It's still pretty big and swollen, but my hands are back to normal size. My wrist is normal. It's just my elbow is a little swollen. A little bursa sac that covers the tip of your elbow, like I was telling you beforehand. Most people can pinch, a little skin off their elbow. I can't do that because it's all swollen, but I'm back at it. I'm day to day now. I'm off the disabled list. I'm day to day.
That's just moving in the right direction, then. Because
that's right.
You before the show last week, Sunday or Monday, I think Sunday, you was on Round the Shots talking about doing this with your fist.
It was big. It looked like Nutty Professor in between Buddy Love and Professor Clump. I like Sherman. I had a big swollen, and it was bad. It was bad, and it was tender to the. It was weird, but I'm making it. I'm making it work, man.
Yeah, the country folks say at Harlan County look like you got stung by a wasper on your hand, man. That thing was.
It was big. Well, that was a funny thing. About a month or so ago, I did get stung by a wasp. So, but I'm back. I'm back at it. I got my hands. I'm ready to do things.
Oh, yeah, that's good because I was going to joke, and then you was at the doctor, and I was like, "Well, it can't be joking now. It's got serious."
Well, because the elbow was swollen, and I was like, I don't know if something's broken, so I got to get X-rays. They got to do all this kind of stuff, and you sit on the X-rays, and it's like, can you turn your arm? No, that's why I'm here. I can't turn it. So then I had to go to the orthopedic specialist Saturday morning, and a bunch of young kids, football guys, been banged up on Friday night. And they're like, I got hit. I'm like, I woke up like this. I turned 46 and my elbow swole up. But I'm doing okay.
Not to flash back to the other bad event, but did you fall on it when you were jogging? Did you land on it?
No, that's what everybody thought, but I was like, no, it was a 2-week gap between the fall and the elbow, because my mom's like, maybe because you. I was like, no, nothing's quite that delayed. The only thing I hurt during that fall was my pride.
Okay.
Because I tripped and fell, and people were like, "Are you okay?" Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm good to go. I was more mad than anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. Glad this swelling's going down, and the compression, and the hands are the same size. Oh, that's
right. Good. That's right.
Well, in other news, your daughter's already hoisting trophies and stuff. We got to talk about that too, right?
Oh, I'm a proud papa, man. It's Little Miss. I mean, she's not Little Miss anymore. She's playing varsity field hockey. They had a tournament in St. Louis this past weekend.
Ooh.
And she gave me the play-by-play. She gave me, they won the first game like 2-1. Then they had to play Louisville Male. They had to go all the way to St. Louis to play Louisville Male. But they won against Male 3-1, well, a couple others, and she's giving me the rundown. She's playing a lot of the games, playing like half the game against Male, and she's getting some PT. And late Saturday night, she sent me, she's like, "We won." And pictures of her they got the trophy, and she got a little medal and everything. So shout out, man. She's doing it. She's very, very excited.
Brought home hardware in the first season already.
I said, the champ is here, man. I said, if you doing this as a freshman, we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, congratulations, and glad you're getting healthy and all that good stuff, man. So
for me, I know we're gonna talk about the Kentucky football game, but hey, that's the highlight. You know how it is as a parent when your kid gets into something and they give it they all and they get something for it, or they get excited about something. You get excited. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even matter what they're talking about. Like I would get excited about them talking about Roblox. I don't know what a Roblox is, but they're excited about it, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm excited.
Right.
And when your kids start achieving things, it's just different, man. Like I forgot who I was talking to. I'm like, when I do something for myself, that's cool, right? You and I have done some pretty cool stuff, and that's important. I've enjoyed everything that we've been able to do with this and everything. But kids, it's different, man. When they doing their own thing and you just sitting back cheering, it's a different level. So
finding their way. And
yeah, man. You know, I was telling them on Spaces last night, and I've said it here before. I'm glad that the girls aren't doing like basketball, because I don't know if I'd be able to shut it off, right? Like, you know, how y'all doing? Doing pretty good. Now, how are you going to track this? You know, how are you going to attach this pick and roll, like, you know, and stuff like that? Where field hockey, lacrosse, I don't know, and I've tried not to know, because I think if I knew, then I'd try to coach. I just get to be dad. Did you play hard? Did you have fun? Looks like you knew what you was doing. I cheer when the other parents cheer. Good. Because I went to the game with my mom when I was back home a couple weeks ago. She's asking me, the officials are doing stuff. She's like, what does that mean? I'm like, I have no idea. But when the other parents boo, I boo. When they cheer, I cheer. So it's great, man.
Just keep it. I don't know if it's organic. I don't know if that's the right word, but just keep it kind of pure from your end, I guess. And just
yeah, you know, it's stressful, man.
Yeah,
it's stressful to watch your kids, you know. But the thing is, sometimes they're gonna win, sometimes they're gonna lose. That's just life, man. Like, I know people get on their thing about participation trophies and this and this. Like, anyway, not to go on that tangent, but the thing is, sports are great. Sometimes you can give it your all, whatever it is, and it just doesn't work. That's what it is, right? You know, you could score 60 points in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and your team can still lose.
Nope.
I mean, that's just the way it is. And so it's how you deal with that. And anyway, I'm very excited for her. She's great. I get daily texts, man, and it's fantastic.
That's good. That's good. So we did have a game. We'll hit the Cats a little bit, and I did do because we hadn't done. I did a little game by game prediction. I said 9-3 is what was my prediction. I got them losing probably to the teams they on paper supposed to lose to, Georgia, Alabama, and I hate to say it, but Tennessee is the 3 for me. So
yeah, that would be my 3, or Tennessee, or Mississippi State, one of those things. I think 9-3 is okay. That's just my 2 cents on that. When people start talking about, Kentucky needs to be 9 wins is the floor, right? Let me get this information here, because I know a lot of people talk about 9 wins being the floor and blah, 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 blah. Let me get this information so I'm accurate, because I definitely like to be accurate. Let me find this real quick.
That's some elevated expectations, which people are going to do, but we haven't had that many 9-win seasons.
So over the last half century of college football, how many teams do you think averaged 9-win seasons?
Since 1973.
Yeah.
Average. You got to average it for all 50 years.
You got to average it, yeah.
Oh. Man, that's going to be a slim list. Like Ohio State or something. Are they on there?
Yeah. How many of the 130 Division I teams or FBS teams, how many programs do you think have averaged 9 wins over the past 50 years? You said Ohio State is 1, but how many total do you think?
Because, Alabama sucked for a long time. These last 15 years, but before that, they were terrible.
Okay.
Whoa.
5 programs 5 programs have averaged 9 wins over the last 50 years.
Wow.
Alabama, Georgia, Nebraska, Ohio State, Oklahoma.
Alabama, Georgia, Nebraska.
We
Oklahoma and who? Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Ohio State.
Yeah.
Even these last 20 years of Nebraska didn't bring their average down below 9.
Right.
Wow. Nebraska, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State.
Yes. How many programs do you think have averaged 10 wins over the past 25 years? So the last quarter century since we've been out of school.
Since 1998.
How many programs do you think have averaged 10 wins over that stretch?
Ohio State, since they did it for 50. No, Oklahoma's still in there?
2 more.
Past 25 years. Average 10 wins since 98.
You said Ohio State. You said Oklahoma.
Past 25, is Georgia still in there?
Georgia.
Because Rick would go 10-2 in a minute and then, lose in the
lose to Vandy or something like that, right? But there's one more, and you probably wouldn't even think about it. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be like, okay, Boise State.
Since 98.
So 4. So people telling me 10 wins got to be the floor. Only 4 programs of the 135 FBS teams have averaged 10 wins over the last quarter century. 4 of 135. Do you know who's not on that list? USC. Do you know who else? Texas, Michigan. Do you know who we did not say? Alabama. Over the last 25 years. Alabama is not on that list. So you got to put this stuff in perspective, right? The 25 years, that covers expansion, right? That's since the SEC championship games. That's, you're playing 11, 12, right? Over 10 plus wins, 4 schools. I say that to say, look, I want Kentucky to win all the games. I do. But you have to be realistic and say, that's a tough place to be. That's not Clemson, and we'll get to them.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not Clemson, right?
So, look, you love to say what all has happened since in your life since Kentucky beat Louisville in football. I met a woman, dated a woman, married a woman, moved to the Midwest, built a house, bought a new lawnmower, planted corn out in the field.
That's right.
So Saban, in everything he's done at Alabama, 5-6 championships, still couldn't get that average to 10 wins for the last 25 years.
That's correct.
So the 10 years before him were that bad that he couldn't raise the average to 10 wins over a 25 year span. That's crazy. Thank you, David Shula and Mike Price and Francione and whoever else.
But that's the thing is saying 9 wins is a failure. I don't subscribe to that, right? Saying 10 wins got to be the floor. I'm like, that is rarefied air. Because unless you are Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, used to be Clemson, for everybody else, as we've talked about before, you are maybe 10 plays away from being 9-3, right? Or 4-8.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Like when we look back last year against Ole Miss, squandered opportunities. Against Vanderbilt, squandered opportunities. Against USC Junior, squandered opportunities. Yeah. That's 3 right there.
Yep.
Right?
That gives you 10 wins.
Right. And then, honestly, you go back, you only lose to Georgia 16-6.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of plays here and there, who knows? So what I'm saying is Kentucky is where most programs are.
Yeah.
The majority of college football, if you're not 10 wins or 10 losses, everybody else is trying to fight for that middle ground, right? and it's tough. I think the Cats got off to a great start against Ball State. I said on Round of Shots, I was going to say it here last week. What I'm looking for, give me a game I don't have to pay attention to in the second half. Like, I'm going to watch the first half intently. In the second half, I'm going to do some channel surfing. I'm going to play with the dog. I'm going to, knock some stuff off my honey-do list with the game still on, but I ain't got to really pay attention, right?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm looking for, right? I thought Devin Leary, it's clear he hadn't played in a while.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
His accuracy wasn't there. His timing wasn't there, but new team, lots of rust. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
What I did like from him, he was active in the pocket. He kept plays alive, and he got rid of the ball when he was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of those balls he threw hit guys in the hands. Guys got to make those plays, but that will come, right? The ball's coming out. The offensive line did enough. I think only one sack, gave up like 5 or 6 against the MAC teams last year. That's moving forward. Ray Davis, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dane Key showed me something, right? I thought the tight ends played reasonably well. Cousin Berrien told him, don't kick to me.
Yeah. I'm going to get your special teams coach fired if you kick to me.
Look, man, there's one thing I'll say about Browns. We ain't really that humble. I think that's just universal. When you see a Brown doing something, we really ain't that humble. When you call yourself the Godfather of soul, right? You're not really. Bobby Brown ain't all that humble, right? I try to be, but I kind of ain't that humble. My dad talked about Muhammad Ali is the second greatest alumni of Louisville Central High School. Jim Brown, the other Jim Brown scores touchdown. The other James Brown singing there. So when Barry's like, don't kick to me, and then they kick to him, and he's 99 to the house.
Untouched. Don't be
woo! Woo, buddy. And special teams is better. The kicking game, that's how you're supposed to see it. Mm-hmm. I'm not studying the snap, the hold, the kick. I'm just like, okay, we kicking it, boom. Because look, field position, special teams, that's those margins that we were talking about, right? Mm-hmm. When we look at when Kentucky has been good, there's been that good special teams play. All the kickoffs, chance poor, no chance for return. Mm-hmm. Boom. I'm gonna kick it. Defense, come on out here. Mm-hmm. That's great. And now you got Barry Brown. Now people like, we can't kick to him. Yeah. So that changes how your kicker is going to do, right? You remember how Derek Abney went on that tear where it was like, don't kick to him. So now, instead of the punter just like, I just got to punt the ball, now you got to try to angle on your kickoffs. And we saw a lot of procedure penalties with the team kicking out of bounds. Mm-hmm. Asking a college kicker to angle it. Look, man, all I'm saying is that kind of stuff bodes well. The defense, they looked a little slow to start, but got one scoop and score. Should have got the other one.
Yeah.
But refs is going to ref, right? But the defense looked good. Mm-hmm. And we got to the point, again, in the second half where it was like, Ball State was like, all right, we just ready to get this over with. You can just tell it in their body language. And that's all I was looking for. Jay Hayes on Round of Shots talking about, Leary should have, why did he play that much? Some of the other guys. I'm like, we got to get reps. Like we got to get that timing down because the window for that, like I want to play the young guys as much as possible. And the young guys will probably play more against Eastern Kentucky and some other places because once, Florida, is it Florida coming to town? We're going to Gainesville.
Go to Gainesville. Go to Vanderbilt first, then I think Florida comes up here.
Right. But once those games start going, hey, you got to be ready, So I'm generally like, hey, you don't want the guy to get hurt, but he only played like 4 games last year before he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, we got to get that timing back. And you saw that.
And we loved seeing what Cousin Barry did in special teams, but that took away offensive reps, and the scoop and score took away offensive reps because that was touchdowns that the offense, could have been going up and down the field. But you're not gonna say, oh, don't run the kickoff back, Barry, or don't get a scoop and score defense. But it limited the amount of reps the offense was able to get. So yeah, that's why they had them late in the fourth quarter still out there trying to just run some plays.
Yeah, you got to work on timing against live bodies, and I'm okay with that.
And I was cool. They, like I said, defense started off slow. They had a goal line stand, which was nice to see on fourth down. That will bode well down the road when you're in a tough situation or when you have to dig deep or bow up and get a stop. I know it was just Ball State, but bowing up on the 1 yard line to keep them from getting 21 points and people looking at the score and saying, oh, they kept it kind of close when they really didn't. Them having 14 looks a lot better than, Ball State's got 21 on them, for those that maybe just casually scoreboard watch.
Yeah. And for Kentucky to look, there's stuff to work on, but to have it in a 30-point win in a game that was, again, I didn't have to pay attention to the second half. That's all I was looking for.
Yeah.
Give me a nice, easy game. The stress is coming.
Yeah. Another thing too, we've seen in years past, even with these teams getting better, winning 7 games, 9 games gradually, we saw some years where a lot of snaps was going over quarterbacks' heads, a lot of snaps was rolling on the ground, not getting to the quarterback. Jagger Burton, they moved him to center. That was his first game at center, and I think there was a penalty or something. But as far as the snaps going over Leary's head and him having to be a center fielder and jump and try to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and get the snap, didn't see a lot of those issues. So I was glad to see that because he's doing good in practice, but until you do it in a game, it's
right.
Different.
So. And so I'm encouraged by what I saw. Again, not to be beholden to the past, but we're a long way from they supposed to be SEC.
Yeah.
And this was just a comfortable game. Sometimes you just get a game. And this was just one of those, hey, we got one. Sometimes a game is just a game. I'm just glad we're past the point where every game is an indictment on Stoops' his legacy and all this kind of stuff. Now we can just play. You know what I'm talking about? Well, if we win, it's Stoops. If we lose, what is Stoops? Like these just at this point, it's just games, man. It's just going out there and even though it was just Ball State, but hey, you got to take care of business. A lot of teams around the country didn't do that.
Yeah, like Baylor lost to Texas State, something like that. So.
Yeah, Boston College lost to somebody too that they paid to come in there and beat them, and we got to talk about the Showtime primetime matchup.
Yes, sir.
Look, man, I like Deion. I'm a Deion guy from way back, from his Florida State days when I was like, oh, okay, because all these people. Look, man, you can write what you want to, say what you want to about Deion, but you can't be talking about Deion is all about Deion. We have been watching for 40 years. We have been watching primetime for 40 years. This is who he is. You're not bringing anything new by saying that Deion's about Deion. Really? Like, what are we doing here? That's what he did wherever he has gone. It's always been about Deion. Whether he's standing at the Star, right? Where he's high stepping at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. What Deion's all about Deion. That's who he is. He's a showman.
This is my house.
Right. That's who Deion is.
Uh-huh.
And so, and I tweet about this, but I'm going to share it here. Look, Yes, it was just one game. But Dion bringing out the receipts, I loved it because this is what happens. Sports folks will they get in their feelings when you push back. When Dion says, "Do you believe?" and everybody like, "Oh, we're not supposed to believe. We're supposed to report." Then just report. But when Dion is moving from Jackson State to Colorado, just say Dion's moving. Don't do your little sly little whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because then
snark stuff.
But yeah, little cutesy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
All this kind of stuff. And that's what they do, right? And don't be surprised when the people you cover push back on it.
No. Because you didn't have a problem pushing and jabbing and poking. So.
But they love to tell you how objective they are. And, you and I have sat through press conferences. I'm like, that's not an objective question. Like, what are you trying to do? Because that's not what is it that you're trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
Because had TCU blown out Colorado, what would we have seen? Dion doesn't know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Dion's overwhelmed. We don't. And look, they may go 1-11 again.
Yeah.
But for that day, yeah.
Yep. And I don't care. You beat the team that was playing Georgia for a national championship. Look. You went to their house and beat them with 90 new players. They was dogging him for running off this guy, cleaning the house and all that. Well, he went and got 90 new guys and went down to Fort Worth and beat the national runner-ups.
Look, man, my favorite tweet about this whole thing was, y'all talk about Dion. Let my kid do what his kid did. We let off the show with me talking about my youngest doing her thing. Let my kid be on national TV and set some records against the defending national champions. Y'all couldn't shut me up.
500 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Number one, y'all talk about me, what I'm doing. Number two, not only did the team win, but my kid led the way. Oh, baby. I'm gonna be like, just like Dion. Okay, so Joe at Sports Illustrated, this is what you said. Oh, baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if my son leading the way, my daughter leading the way, oh, you gotta hear it. Again, they may not win again, but that was a great start. And again, people, well, Dion's always about Dion. Look, we have come to grips with Dion being about Dion. That's what I it's not just sports reporters, but just people in general. Like, you write an expose on Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's got some issues. We know. We've been here. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not doing anything. There's no revelation to that, right? Like, mm-hmm. What are you doing? Well, Dion is a big time self promoter. Yes, and that's why we love him. Look, man, my favorite Deion Sanders quote. I can't remember what team he was playing for. I don't know if it was my Niners or your Cowboys or whoever. Mm-hmm. This man said Dion would pay Dion's money to watch Dion try to guard Dion because Dion doesn't know if Dion can stop Dion. That's third person. That is, I love it, man. Mm-hmm. I maybe it's the Muhammad Ali fan in me, but I love that kind of stuff. And see, that's the thing is we pretend like we like the fake humble guys.
Yeah.
We pretend like, oh no, just keep your head down. No, we don't do that, man. Because the same people tell me, why don't these NBA guys stop all their antics? Love to tell them Larry Bird stories about he was busting people playing with his left hand only. They love those stories. So don't tell me we do not want humble.
That's right.
We don't. Mm-hmm. All these people, like, look, I saw that, Shannon Sharp is on First Take now and Undisputed's doing their thing. Man, it's the start of football season, and one of their lead topics was Jordan versus LeBron. But anyway, when it comes to that, don't tell me you don't like LeBron because he self-promotes. I'm like, Michael Jordan didn't promote himself? We had a whole campaign about like Mike. If I could be like Mike, what a bit like. Come on now, like we're just being disingenuous. We're talking about I like my quarterbacks of old when they just got the. I'm like the way Joe Namath guaranteed victory, and was in that ad with pantyhose and the fur coats. That's what we talking.
Yeah.
We want that.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like what are we doing, man?
Conveniently forgetting about Joe's swag back in.
Yeah, man. So yeah, good for Dion. But looking around college football, hey, and I hate to say this, but good on Duke
Right.
for taking care of Clemson. Look, man, I try to be a good person, Vinny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to walk the path. But Dabo Sweeney losing, I feel good about it. I feel really good about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that dude is as fake can be.
Mm-hmm.
And all this talking about if the players get money, I'm going. You still cashing them $9 billion checks from Clemson? Okay, then.
Mm-hmm.
And all this kind of stuff. And you see what happens when he doesn't have a generational quarterback.
I mean, 0-1 and lost. That's a conference loss. That's a look. They hadn't lost to Clemson. I mean, had lost to Duke in what 20-some years.
But you see how pedestrian they are without Deshaun Watson and without Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't DJ Uyunglele's fault. They put it all on him, and I bet you wish you had him back.
Only 7 points. Goodness gracious, Dabo. He needs some more all shucks and dad gum and all this kind of stuff. Because now we remember why Clemson was a term.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Oh, okay. Okay.
And that was just face planting. I mean, he was, Duke.
Yeah.
Went up to Durham and just got spanked like that.
Yeah.
So, but that was we hate to be like that, but that was good to see him, get that mud on his face week one. I'm an SEC guy, but I was kind of glad to see South Carolina take it on the chin against North Carolina. Mr. Old Beamer.
Look, man,
ain't as good as he everybody think he is. And how can the chain game be eating a hot dog? That's what I'm fussing about. They wasn't even ready for us to kick this onside kick that we recovered. But
bloobity blue, man. Get out of my face. Like, come on now.
The ACC, man. I mean, Brian Kelly got his behind whooped.
Yeah.
None of those dudes is that likable in my opinion. Dabo, Kelly, or Beamer. And
no. But hey, good on Louisville for beating Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and Georgia Tech should have knocked them out, man. They start missing kicks and missing tackles. I'm like, well, Louisville got. It's like when you've done it. I know you've done it. We've all done it. Somebody's up 12 on Duke with 5 minutes left in the second half, and we're like, that's too much time. Duke's gonna come back. That's where it was watching Louisville, Georgia Tech. Oh, it's 28-13. Oh, you just missed a kick. Oh no, it ain't gonna happen for you.
No. So good on Louisville for that. I guess. I mean,
yeah.
I want to beat them so bad this year.
They're favoring all their games. TB, you know that Louisville. That means 12-0 for the Cards, according to. They're favored to beat us, even though they ain't beat us since before you met your wife and dated your wife and moved to the Midwest and bought a house.
My entire courtship has occurred in the time that Louisville beat Kentucky in football.
But Jeff Brahman, year one, is going to be your favorite over Kentucky and every other opponent that they play, according to all those odds makers. So
good. Look, man, good on them. Yay. Nebraska, we talked about them earlier, man. You forget how good they were to still have those historic numbers.
Yeah,
it's been terrible. It's been terrible in Nebraska. I don't know how they get the swagger back.
And I said it, congrats, good on them for having 92,000 show up to watch a women's volleyball game, in part because their volleyball is elite, in part also, in my opinion, that those people know that's the only good product that's going to be on that football field. So we better go watch something good on this field
Yeah,
while we can.
yeah, and about that, I knew it was a big deal, but Big Miss, Little Miss text. Did you see? Yeah. So good for the girls and young women to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw the video of the Nebraska coach coming out. On one side, you got one of the volleyball players. She's cool. She's cool with it. And the other on the other side was just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen before in my life. Like she's so good. And look, and both reactions, I get both of them. But it was great to see, as we say here in the Midwest, if you build it, they will come. I would love to see Kentucky Louisville pull something like that off. I think they could do it do it at Churchill Downs, with the Twin Spires, like do that kind of stuff. And people will say, oh, it's gimmicky. Like that's how you build momentum is you do gimmicky stuff. You do gimmicky stuff to catch attention. And then people are watching. They're like, oh, this volleyball is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever it is, because you have to keep in mind, that's how the NFL, before it became what it is, It was gimmicky. I've told you repeatedly, how did the Lakers, when they moved to LA, how'd they build that up? Because you got Jerry West and Elgin Baylor going around opening car washes and shopping malls. Like, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
But one of those books I read on the history of the Lakers got pictures of them, like all the little towns around LA showing up, planting palm trees, and you're like, that sounds ridiculous. But you have to put that work in.
Embedding themselves in the community, man.
Right. And so you have to do it to make it must watch, and I think as volleyball in the state of Kentucky, with both Kentucky and Louisville and Western at the collegiate level playing well, and there's high school powers there as well, build off that momentum.
Yep. It's increased way more than we thought the past 2 or 3 years, with just these teams doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Kentucky knocking on the door, making deep tournament runs, kicking that door down, winning a championship. And now, it's, the coverage is there. You got friend of the show, Lee Edmond, doing a podcast now, I think, with KSR. So this stuff wasn't in existence 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Right. You keep plowing. So kudos to Nebraska for doing that. But like you said, the football, Tom Osborne ain't walking through that door. And
I was thinking about him when the volleyball team was coming through the tunnel. I was like, man, that's what Tom and them used to do, But.
Yeah, it's different there in Nebraska. But hey, I love college football. I watch a little bit of a lot of games, but I watch the majority of the Kentucky game.
Mm-hmm. Alabama, Texas this weekend. Is Texas really back this time, TB? They're going to Tuscaloosa.
Man, Texas is a Vince Young away from just being completely irrelevant. Just like, I don't know, man. I know they make money and all this kind of stuff, but I don't even feel like making the Texas is back joke. That seems to be played out. When has Texas really mattered outside of the Vince Young year? Yeah, Ricky Williams won the Heisman, but that team wasn't. They finished maybe 9-3, something like that.
Yeah.
But whatever, something to talk about. Is Texas back? Were they just like Kentucky? Man, if Kentucky basketball, how many coaches we would have fired if we had a 50 years like Texas football? One championship since integration.
because Earl Campbell, I mean, was there when?
Late 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah. So you go from Earl Campbell to, and I don't think they contended for titles when he was there, did they? And Earl, Vince, Ricky, Cedric Benson. There's been some names come through there, but as far as, like you said, without Vince, whew, and they starting to hold on to that kind of. That's almost 20 years old now. That championship. It's
I watched that championship game when we brought Big Miss home from the hospital.
And she's a senior in high school.
Yes. Yeah, she was born December of 05, so January 06. It was like a day or two we had just brought her home, and I'm watching, trying to will USC to do something.
Yeah, me too.
But
I wanted to see that three-peat.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Look, Georgia, I understand y'all are the favorites, but there's a reason why it's been so long since we've seen a three-peat football champion of any sort.
Yeah, Minnesota.
We thought USC with the Reggie Bush. We thought that team was rolling that season.
Mm-hmm.
We thought Nebraska was rolling.
Yeah.
And then you get to year 3 and weird stuff happens, man. It just happens. Winning 3 in a row is just tough. It just is. Especially with football. My Niners, Super Bowl 23, Super Bowl 24, Super Bowl 25 that year, finishing like 13-3, 14-2, get to the NFC Championship game and lose to Matt Barr and the Giants on a bunch of damn field goals. Like weird stuff happens, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get, they're confident. Good for them, but hey, it's tough.
Mm-hmm. Now that schedule is their friend, but it's still tough. It's still, Kentucky probably the toughest home game. I think they get Tennessee, but other than that, it ain't.
Yeah, I mean it breaks wise for them, but yeah, they might get to the Final Four, but you just don't know.
Mm-hmm. Ohio State had them beat last year if they make a field goal. They don't even go back to back.
Yes,
and I make fun of all the Big Ten people. I was like, hey, if you don't whine to me about nothing. Kick a field goal, and y'all beating TCU by 50 instead of Georgia.
Yeah.
And,
we kind of let the beatdown of TCU obscure the fact that, against Ohio State, that should have been a game over.
Go make a kick. Go snap, hold, kick. But crazy stuff like that happens. Who's to say Georgia couldn't have the same fluky little weird something go against them this time?
And I mean, they'll get the benefit of the doubt if they do drop to Kentucky or drop to Tennessee. I get that. But, it's going to be a tough road to hoe for them just to assume it's going to be 3 straight. Like, I see Georgia fans, we got all these dogs. And I keep saying, like, having all the talent doesn't always mean you're going to win. I say that as a Kentucky fan. I say that as a like I said, a 49ers fan.
Mm-hmm. And we heard the whole story. We know Stetson Bennett's a walk-on, blah, blah, blah. He's from Georgia. He left. He couldn't make it. He came back, blah, blah. We know, look, this other kid this is his first time being the starter. He got a bunch of weapons around him, but he's not seasoned. He ain't been through it. So he might just have a bad game. You never, anything's possible.
A couple of turnovers can change everything, man. So,
yeah.
But the Cats got Eastern Kentucky. I think the Cats moved to 2-0.
It's a reunion game. It's C.J. Conrad coming back, Walt Wells, a bunch of Frederick Douglass kids from Lexington playing on EKU squad. So it's about like a reunion game coming up.
And shout out to Roy Kidd. I don't know if you saw this. He's not doing very well. Moved to hospice and put EKU on the map with football way back when. And that's going to be tough for the Eastern Kentucky family. But I think the Cats handle business and keep this thing moving.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think so. And some of the little kinks and things that we saw in week one, I think they'll get a chance to iron them out. The stuff that it sounds nitpicky, but that's what coaches do. They dissect stuff and look for ways to improve. I think you see a little more rhythm out of Devin Leary. Like you said, he hadn't played in a long time, and everything is new. But he's a veteran dude, and he kind of get his feet under him a little bit, and you just kind of see it all starting to get in sync. You got Eastern, and you got Akron in his SEC play, and so this you just kind of getting everything all in sync for the big time portion of the season. So that's what.
That's right. That's right. But go Cats, man.
Mm-hmm. I see you got your gear on because NFL starts this weekend as well.
That's
Your
correct.
Niners going cross country to play Pittsburgh. My Cowboys are the Sunday night game against the Giants. So your boy Bosa just got the Brinks truck backed up. They got that situation handled.
Yeah.
So no drama going into the season with him. He's on board, got his money now. So good for him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, I hated the Trey Lance situation. But there was going to be no room for him to grow and develop. The 49ers, we're in win now mode. And there wasn't going to be any games for him to kind of figure it out. And it stinks. And I know it looks like a bad trade. It is, to trade up all that and essentially get nothing out of it. And I understand, people are going to make that point. 49ers, what are they doing? Well, if you can find a suitable quarterback with the last pick in the draft, you can whiff on that, right? You can, if you find other all pros in rounds 4, 5, and 6, which they have done, then it kind of absorbs that blow a little bit. But if Purdy can kind of maintain what he did last year, I feel good about this team. Talk about Georgia having the weapons. 49ers have the weapons around Purdy as well. And so if he can just do a thing here and there, make a play where there's no play, I like our chances to get back at least to the NFC Championship game.
Yep. So at Pittsburgh, so that'll be fun. Like you said, going with the young fella, with Purdy.
Yeah.
Still got McCaffrey and Debo. And, what's your receiver's name?
Ayuk, Brandon Ayuk. Yeah.
Kittle and the defense. So yeah.
There it's win now mode. And I'm okay with that. Like we were talking about before we got on. I know everybody's got jokes for the 49ers because we have not won a Super Bowl since 1994. I mean, it is what it is, since the 94 season. Yep. But over the last decade, 6 NFC Championship games, 2 Super Bowls, that's not bad.
That's contending.
That's being in the mix. Mm-hmm. And, there's just been weird things to happen. Like we're talking about, a play here, a play there. Jimmy G throwing the ball with his eyes closed in the Super Bowl. Getting to the point where Christian McCaffrey got to take snaps last year. I mean, it's just, what do you do, right? Like, nothing you can do, right? But I hope we get to 6. I need to see my team win a Super Bowl. Been a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, been a while for mine too. I'd take contending to the level that the Niners have. We have, we haven't been to it. At least you can get in the NFC Championship games. I still don't know how I feel about the Trey Lance deal. A lot of people thought, fresh start and, motivation and pushing Dak Prescott and all that. And I don't know how to feel. I'm just kind of about it.
He's got to play, and he's not going to play in Dallas.
Yeah. So I don't.
He's got to get reps, and the timeline got messed up because he got hurt. But that's just what happens. Mm-hmm. And so I saw a lot of people, they try to make it a thing. Well, the 49ers gave Alex Smith all that time. We were terrible when we drafted Alex Smith. It was Alex Smith handing to Frank Gore through a lot of 4-12 and 5-11 seasons. Like, but this team is built to win right now. And this is not, can you figure it out? Can we see what we got? That's not what this is. If Purdy gets hurt, look, Sam Darnold, look, man, I know that guy's been garbage, but all we're asking for you is to not screw this up.
Yeah.
We're not asking you to win. We're just asking you to not lose. Because Shanahan is going to scheme guys open, get it to the open guy. When you see the number, get it to where you're supposed to go, right? That's all we're asking for. If you just do what Jimmy Garoppolo did with this team, you can get to a Super Bowl. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it with my own eyes. And you've never heard me, not on this show anywhere, talk about how good Jimmy G was. I told you, hope he can get it done. I don't know if he can. Because I've always said, no matter what your quarterback, who your quarterback is, and you can look at those 2000 Ravens, those Buccaneers with Brad Johnson. I don't care who your quarterback is. Your quarterback has to make 3 or 4 plays in the Super Bowl. Right plays in the Super Bowl. And if they don't, you won't win. It's as simple as that. Jimmy G didn't, and we didn't win. Yea, verily, we didn't win. Convert one of those third downs.
Yeah.
And Mahomes doesn't have enough time. Just one. Where you can take 2 more minutes off the clock, just one. Anyway, but there you go. I don't know if you saw this. Somebody just posted this at me. Cooper Kupp, right? Great receiver for the Rams. His career stats, 508 receptions, 6,300 yards, and 46 TDs for his career. That's pretty good, you'd say, right? Jerry Rice's stats from age 36 on, 492 receptions, 6,440 yards, and 42 touchdowns. That's him after 36. So was it the September 3rd or 4th, whatever? A lot of records were broken that day. That's when Jerry Rice broke the touchdown record. And I know you've seen it. I see it all the time. Jerry Rice was just a compiler. He just got all these numbers because he played a long time. He broke the touchdown record in week 1 of year 9.
Yeah, so he's 30 years old.
His rookie season was 85. In 1994, he had more touchdowns than anybody else in NFL history, which he has had and probably will have for a long time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's, you got to give credit where credit's due, man. That's
Calvin Johnson, right? Hall of Famer. His career is Jerry to age like 34.
That's ridiculous.
The first half of Jerry's career is Calvin Johnson in its entirety.
That's ridiculous.
So I get it. He's a compiler or whatever. You know, that's my dude. But when you start to see numbers like that, back when him and Michael Irvin and Sterling Sharp had to play, it was different, man. DBs could pretty much put a saddle on you and ride you, man. And like I always say, when it comes to these numbers, we have seen passing numbers go crazy, right? Like I told you, you look at the all-time yardage passing list, you've got Kerry Collins and who's the other person? Right ahead of Johnny Unitas and Joe Montana, right?
Yeah.
All right, so the passing numbers have exploded, but we ain't seen nobody getting close to them receiving numbers. Not close.
And Jerry and Sterling and Mike played when the running back position was still meant something.
And that's the point I always try to make. Well, of course, Jerry played with Joe Montana and Steve Young. That helps. I'm not saying it doesn't. But I'm like, they didn't pass that much. When you look at Montana's attempts per season and Young's attempts per season, man, that's what they letting
Jared Goff and
yeah.
I mean, all these average dudes get to do that, man.
That's what Geno Smith was doing. Like and I looked at it one time. I need to get the numbers in front of me. Montana's high for attempts would not have been the top 10 in attempts for Brady, Manning, or Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, kind of like Larry Bird's 3-point attempts compared to today. He
Yeah,
wasn't shooting as many.
right.
But Mike playing with the all-time leading rusher. Jerry's playing with some Roger Craig, some Ricky Waters. Who say what you want about Ricky? Ricky over 10,000 yards too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think he's probably one of those. When you look at guys, who are like, they should be remembered better than we do.
Yeah.
And Ricky Waters was that guy.
Couldn't stand him, but he was a good back. With him playing for the Eagles and the Niners, of course, I'm not gonna like him, but I have to. You can't knock his game, and he came to play.
And that's been, if there's one defining characteristic of the 49ers as a franchise, it's you get guys that can do lots of stuff, because Jerry always blocked, right? Mm-hmm. You always have a good tight end that can block and catch. Brent Jones, Vernon Davis, right? Of course, George Kittle now. You get a fullback that can do a lot of stuff. William Floyd, Tom Rathman, right? Mm-hmm. And right now with Jusic, who's listed as a fullback, but he does a little bit of everything, right? You get you a running back that can do everything. A Roger Craig, a Ricky Williams, not Ricky Williams.
Ricky Running Waters.
Ricky Waters. That's what I get for talking about Texas. And you get Christian McCaffrey. Like, this stuff isn't brand new, right? Like, this is kind of what they do. And you get an offensive guy back there like a Bill Walsh, like a Shanahan, and you kind of figure this out, right? Even to some extent with Harbaugh, which we need to go back to college football. Michigan's doing too much, because he got suspended for cheating, and they're going to come out in the official count. We're going to do this for Coach Harbaugh. He didn't die. What do y'all do? Have some self-respect, man. Anyway, so, look, I'm 49ers, obviously. I'd like to see them do well. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, they've been trash because we haven't won. I've seen trash 49ers teams. I was on this show. Y'all can go back and try to talk myself into Blaine Gabbert. Mm-hmm. You can go go to the tape, and I'm like, well, let's see.
The good old York ownership era.
Oh man. Oh, just bad. Just bad. So, hey, once I realized, I'm like, hey, it's not as bad as I thought, right? And as long as you're competing, I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for.
And I'll be honest with you, if you're not going to win the Super Bowl, can you beat your rivals in the playoffs? Check. Thank you.
No. They definitely doing that.
And I never will forget, as long as I live, I was flying back the 49ers Cowboys game. For some reason, I was going across my phone, and I got a screenshot of the text that Kate was sending me because I couldn't get a good thing on my stream. She's texting me down in distance and plays. Very, very sweet. Mm-hmm. But the Cowboys take that lead like in the first quarter. I'm at the airport bar in Charlotte, and I'm like, man, uh-oh. And this guy had on a Bosa jersey. He takes a shot. He's like, it's the Cowboys, man. Don't worry about it. And he goes, catches his flight. You're right. What am I worried about?
I mean, I wish I could have a clap back, but what can I say, man?
And, because you Cowboys fans are everywhere. So I enjoy it.
Speaking of us being everywhere, Jay Hayes was tweeting with Michelle talking about there's too many of us Cowboys fans about the commercial with Emmett and Jerry and Dan Marino and Randy Moss if they unretire.
That Lay's commercial, I loved it. And because I had seen Jerry on his Instagram, he was back in the pads. I'm like, what is that? And then I saw like Randy Moss somewhere. The ad is funny. They're going to come back. I need to find it and retweet. That's great, man. That's great. The one thing I do, I love me Randy Moss. I love Randy Moss because he's from West Virginia. And it always kills me when people hear him talk for the first time because you don't expect him NFL films like you like but then you remember like he from West Virginia.
Ran, baby.
And
Right.
every now and then, when Jerry is talking, I'm like, oh, that's right. He's from Mississippi, right? He's from not Jackson, Mississippi, which is okay, right? So some stuff gonna come. But I remember watching. I think it was NFL Primetime way back when, with Tom Jackson, Chris Berman, and watching my dad's face the first time he heard Randy Moss talk. He's like he's from West Virginia someplace.
Yeah.
But I love Randy Moss because the missus, she was at school at the Minnesota School of Art back during the Randy Moss, Chris Carter, during that time. So she's a former Vikings fan, but I've brought her over to the correct side. And just talk about.
Oh, you think so until y'all go to the Niners Vikings game. She flipped back on and be hollering skull on you.
Well, no, she's on board because Kittle is from
okay.
It's got Iowa ties, and Purdy's Iowa State. So bring her on board. And the fact she likes big Trent Williams, and he picked up that dude for the Eagles and tossed him around like an upset toddler. I forgot Trent Williams slapped Richard Sherman across the face post game. They got into it. He did like this, and Richard Sherman was like, business decision. And I ain't joking. Like, won't you hit him? Because I'll be like, excuse me, Mr. Trent Williams, I'm sorry my face got in the way of your hand. I apologize about that.
Yeah.
Business decision.
Speaking of Purdy and Kittle, don't Iowa and Iowa State play this weekend?
They do.
Oh.
They do play this weekend. It's the most polite rivalry I've ever seen. Like, it's like they don't like each other, but it's very polite.
How many points did Iowa score last week? Like
24?
All offense?
Yeah, but Brian Ferentz is not on pace. Like, they scored a lot early and didn't score anymore. You know, he's got to average like close to 30 points a game, or he's got to go. He's got to hit 330 points this season. 330. And they had their first drive passing touchdown since 1991. Good.
For the first time they scored a passing touchdown on the opening drive.
Opening drive of the home opener of the first game of the season. Yeah, since 91.
Golly.
And then the scoreboard went out. Friend of the show, Adam Jacoby's like, they scored. He's like, and then it just went blank because they weren't used to putting up an Iowa touchdown.
Like, so who is the Corey Price for Iowa? Because Lord, who had to dig up that stat? This is the first time since 91 we had a home passing touchdown. That is.
Yeah, man. Like I told you before, we went to that game last year, it was a year ago, against South Dakota, and Iowa won 7-3 without a touchdown. And that crazy stat, I can't get it right. I don't remember off the top of my head. But if all these under conditions, like winning without scoring offensive touchdown, and like all these conditions, college football as a whole over the last however many years, like 3 in 1,000. Iowa 2-1. This is what they do, man. It's just like whatever it is. I mean, a couple years ago, the Nebraska game, their scoring looked like a baseball score: 3-2, 7-3. Like, what? They had like 2 safeties and like 6 field goals. Like, what? Iowa makes you do math when you watch the game. Like, I mean, you know, you see a football score 18. I'd have to think, how do you get 18 points? I'd have to really think about it. Like 21, I can see 24, 20, 18. Like,
it's like the first game of the season the other day, Florida had 11 when they lost to Utah. I'm like 24-11. Like, how did they get 3 field goals and a safety?
Like
touchdown and 2 safeties.
But
4 safeties on the field goal. I was like, how'd they get 11? But
but all because I showed you I was this weekend I was wearing my blue. Mm-hmm. I was letting them know, and all the Iowa fans out of kind of like, can we please not play in a bowl game? Like we're we're kind of over that. I'm like, we are too, man. Like,
Mhm.
I just want my house to be happy during bowl season. I would like to cheer on my wife's Hawkeyes, and I'm sure she'd like to cheer on the Wildcats, but we can't do it if they playing.
That's right. We've all seen that movie plenty, so everybody can just let's all move on from that for sure. Now, man, I know y'all talked about it in the spaces, and I'll say it about everything that gets Big Blue Nation upset. Like your wife says, they are always mad about something. The latest is this whole Big Z thing, and like I always say, me worrying about it ain't gonna change nothing. Do we hope he comes? Yes. Admissions, are they doing what they can? You know they are. They're not going to try to keep him from coming. So red tape and all this, but
Here's the thing: we don't know
no.
because admissions won't say, because federal guidelines, you cannot give out private information on students and prospective students. You can't do it. So we're just guessing. And in the absence of facts, people will jump.
Oh,
What
yeah.
I didn't look, trend on Twitter. I don't care. Twitter's not a real place. But when you're promoting people to call the admissions office, to call the university, tagging the university, number one, the decisions maker ain't gonna see this.
Mhm.
When people get mad at Mitch Barnhart tagging his Twitter handle, he's not reading that. Cal's not reading that.
Mhm.
Stoops isn't reading it. It's some intern.
Mhm.
When you call up the athletic office, you are not speaking to Mitch Barnhart. It's just somebody that's just trying to answer the phone. What are we doing? That was too far. And I saw way too many Kentucky fans for my liking. Well, you know it's not Harvard, so what are we doing? Okay. I understand it's not an Ivy League school.
Yeah.
But can you stop crapping on my alma mater?
Mhm.
I wanted to tweet this out, but I was like, well, maybe I don't need to. But I'm like, for some of y'all, this is the first time you ever had to contact a registrar's office.
True.
And it just, what are we doing here? And that's all I'm saying is, one, we don't know the admissions policy. What are we doing? We don't know.
Mm-mm.
I talked to a good friend. I was texting him today. He works at UK. He's a student advisor. Okay.
Mhm.
And his behind the scenes thing, he's like, there's so much that goes into admissions in these specialized cases. Everybody focuses in on, you graduate high school, get your diploma, you apply to UK, you get in. That's the easy ones, right? But every now and then you get situations, particularly international, where things pop up. You don't know. And the school can't say, I saw a lot of people responding to the school statement. They can't give you specifics.
Mhm.
They're not going to give you specifics.
So everybody just took that and ran with it and
Like that.
assumed and
Well, that's just they can't. And so what happens is you get riled up with all these theories like, my idiot brother got in the UK. Why can't this guy? It's not
yeah.
the same thing, man. Like it's not the same thing. Well, Kentucky has a 95% acceptance rate. Well, maybe he in the 5%. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, and then don't the admission people know how much money the basketball program brings into the school?
No,
Vinny,
they don't.
Vinny, I try not to use profanity on the Cats Talk, but no shit. Everybody that has ever been to Lexington, Kentucky can tell you how important Kentucky basketball is. You're not saying nothing they don't know. Then I see people, well, what their federal law says, if you get a foreign student, you're supposed to make accommodations. Don't you think they know that shit? Don't you think they know that?
Mhm.
All you Googling, don't you think they know this?
Yep.
You're not discovering nothing.
Right. Mhm.
Did they think about this? And all I'm gonna say is this: the same people that told me Cal was falling asleep and was way behind on NIL, and then a week later he came out with this brand new NIL initiative. Same people telling me the admissions department that most people didn't even think about before 9:00 a.m. yesterday. They don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting all riled up about what?
Mm-hmm.
And look, it upset me when I saw people like, Kentucky's not Ivy League. I know this, but I also am very proud of my degree. I'm proud of the academic studies at the university. And like I said in Spaces, this is the thing. I love the University of Kentucky. Sports is part of it, but I support the university. Number one, I support all the sports as one. Two, I support the university as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So I ask people, your theory is the admissions department is intentionally trying to harm the basketball program.
Right.
How does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
They're just doing that to prove a point. Like, is that like really? That's what you think is, even if people don't like that athletics get all the headlines, I find it tough to believe that there's a department at the University of Kentucky that would intentionally try to sabotage the basketball program.
Mm-hmm.
I find that hard to believe. Well, they're trying to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's the hill they're trying to down too.
And I'm like, but the thing is, we don't know because they can't tell us. That's the point I'm making. We don't know. I hope he makes it and all this kind of stuff. But look, man, I've gotten the missus to join the 49ers. She's not going to become a Kentucky fan. She's like, y'all. I was like, yeah, I'm in it now, but yeah, man. But like you said, every single day at dinner, what are Kentucky fans mad about today? It's always something. It's never it's not even related to the day before.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Although the Big Z thing is kind of carried over from yesterday to today, but it's always something, man.
Yeah. So and then it'll blow over or it won't. It'll work out or it won't. And if it does work out, you just move on to being riled about something else. Just okay. Well, let's get our pains in the water about this now. Since the roster's intact now, and there's not just 7 people. Let's move on and be mad about something else.
I don't know. It'll be something. I just can't live my life like that anymore. But look, get stuff trending on Twitter. That whatever. But encouraging people, putting the contact information of the admissions department and the university, and somehow Mitch Barnhart got pulled into this. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It just wants stuff to be exhausting.
It is. I can't live like that, man. Like,
pick and choose what we really worry about, but ain't. So like I said, worrying about all of it isn't changing anything. If me worrying about it meant he was gonna get admitted, well then yeah, I get my blood pressure up about it. But me worrying about it ain't gonna change nothing.
No, man, I got too much other stuff to worry about.
Exactly.
But you like this new hat?
I mean, I'm glad you've added to your collection. How many Niners hats you got for real?
Just 2.
Really?
Yeah. Well, my authentic Jerry jersey I got during that 4-year window where they were that dark garnet color, and now they're bright red. So I got a dark garnet hat. But I'm like, I need to get back with the scarlet and the white. So I had to get this. Got this. Best thing ever. I'm a Hat World. I don't know if you remember Hat World. It's preceded Lids, right? And so back when I was accumulating most of my collection, they had this thing where it was like you pay $20 to join the Passport Club, but then you get 25% off every hat forever. And so I pay the $20 and I get 25% off every hat, whatever. So went to the Lids of the mall here. And this is what always happens. I could always tell, like, with the employees, like they've heard about these passport club, but they've never actually seen one. Because when I hand it to them, they're always like, "Oh my goodness, hey, I've actually seen one." Like, you know,
You're a novelty act.
yeah, they're like, "Oh my, wow, okay, I never actually saw one." Okay, and then they scan it, and the discount gets applied, and they're like, "You hold on to this." I was like, "Yeah, like I never thought I'd see one for real."
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm kind of a big deal.
They talked about this in orientation, but I've
only seen photos. Like, it feels different. Yeah, I got you. So yeah, I get my discount when it comes to lids.
pay for itself many times over.
Oh yeah, man. Like, yeah, 20. But they only had it for maybe 2 or 3 months. Like, that program was not available because people like me, like, $20, yeah, and then 25% off everything thereafter, bro. Yes.
Yep. That's money well spent.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully everybody listens to this. It was time well spent, and come back next week talking about a win over EKU, and for your sake, a win over the Steelers, and for my sake, a win over the Giants, and we're just rolling right along, man.
Yeah, man. Getting to the fall part of the year, it's great. My mom's she's flying in tomorrow.
Wow.
Going to spend about a week with us, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Cool. Glad Mom B's up there. She has safe travels and have a good week. And don't dig your hole too big. You're already in trouble, and now Mom B coming, and she likes Kate better than you already. So I mean,
she's already said she's coming to stay and visit Kate. She's not visiting me.
She's making Kate pies and cookies and who don't know what all, man.
She talking about getting the dog bacon. I'm like, what about my bacon?
Let's see, man. You below Sammy now, so it's Kate, Sammy, then you. So man,
and she checking on the girls and stuff. Come on now.
It's over. Oh well. Enjoy it, man. And,
yes, sir.
Speaking of Michelle, our number one fan, Michelle, got to give her well wishes. She got some bruised ribs, some cracked ribs that she was dealing with, and
oh yeah,
I never had that, but I hear it's hard to breathe, hard to laugh, hard to sit, hard to lay, hard to cough. Everything is difficult when you got issues with your ribs. So hopefully Michelle can get to feeling better and not be in so much pain. So thinking about you, Michelle.
Absolutely.
TB, man, enjoyed it. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, I got my Barry Bonds going there.
Hope that continues to heal up, man. Where you ain't having the issues you were having with that again.
Absolutely, man. Regular fist. So always good, man.
Mm-hmm. So, man, appreciate everybody listening and checking us out on the Roku and the BS3 network and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. We'll be back next week, and we'll do it all again. For TV, this is Vinny. We'll be back. Cast Talk Wednesday, y'all. Appreciate you watching.